Hello, Oracles. Well, I had a lot going on in my personal life today. We'll get into that at the end of the video. However, awesome news when it comes to Tesla stock. We have broken that downward trend. Again, we mentioned it last week how we saw the stock seemed like it might be breaking out of that downward trend. We wanted to see a couple more days of it. We have gotten that. So we'll take a look at those charts, see where we can go from here. Take a look at some other news that's going on over on X as well. Some further reactions as to what we saw with the FSD drive Elon did last week. Tasha Keeney coming out showing what's going on with chargers, seeing different people going out there and charging that are not Teslas. Can this also lead to other companies leasing out FSD? We will get into all of that in just a minute. All right, so here it is. Yep, last week we started to show signs that we were going to break out of this downward channel, and here we are today breaking out. Didn't have a stellar day today, I kind of figured we would finish about flat. Despite what we saw on Friday with game-changing technology with FSD, Wall Street doesn't care. We kind of expected it. I mentioned it as well, but it doesn't matter. That gives us more time to buy at these prices. But again, we broke out of this downward channel. So we're looking at a couple of good signs here. The RSI, as we've spoken about, we've been kind of going from oversold to overbought to oversold to overbought. So we just hit oversold recently. We're coming back up. So the question is, do we continue up to get to that overbought range again? So if we do continue up from here, there's a chance that we could follow this longer term upward trend, perhaps fill this gap at 289, maybe even test and break $300. The next real hard level that we need to break through is that 314 level. That's where we got stuck at last year, bounced off 3 times, fell all the way down to 100. So the question is, are we going to continue up, fill this gap, break 300, and test that 314 again? Or are we going to fall down from here? That's the next question. So we've got Jesse posting out, Tesla is still perfectly sitting above support with only 3 more days till the monthly close. If it makes it that long, we should see further upside in the month ahead from a technical perspective when you factor in volumes, RSI, and MACD. Can it do this with the looming threat of China's collapse? Should be an interesting few months ahead. I will say that I'm optimistic nonetheless, but be prepared just in case. So Jesse follows China's economic situation very closely. So if you guys do not follow him on X, please do. He is a wealth of information and sharing what's going on with China, seeing as China supplies a lot of the world with many things, something going on with their economy could definitely affect a lot of the world. So things that are going on over there may affect the markets over here. Something to pay close attention to, and Jesse does just that. So yes, the technicals, the charts, these are again one of the things that I look at when it comes to the near-term movements of the stock, but that's just one piece of it. You have to look at sentiment, you have to look at news, you have to look at the macro environment. There's a lot of other things that go into it when you're taking a look at where the stock can move. So again, like you said, from a technical standpoint, from the charts, we are looking very bullish. So going back to the charts here, based upon what Jesse is telling us, if we don't see any sort of news that comes out that forces us to change directions, based upon technicals, we may possibly see this run that goes up to fill this gap at 289 and potentially push higher. And so looking at his charts here, again, we're forming this wedge pattern. Wedge patterns usually lead to a breakout or breakdown. So based upon other factors to determine whether we're going to do just that, breakout or breakdown, on a technical standpoint, volumes are looking strong, RSI is looking strong. So based upon the charts, it seems like there's a better chance for a breakout. Now, of course, like we said, anything can come out with news, something can turn the entire market around and cause a breakdown. So just pay attention to that. So as Jesse says, very optimistic, but also be prepared just in case something turns. I mean, we are still in a market right now that is very uncertain. We mentioned it yesterday that the M1 and M2 money supplies are way higher than they have ever been. There's a lot of money that needs to get flushed out of this market, but we may still see a further run over the next few months before we get to that point where we see that flushing coming out. I still think that we're going to get a massive pullback at some point. However, we might get a run before that happens. Could be an opportunity to make some more profits before that ends up pulling back. Nothing's guaranteed. This is not financial advice, but just some things I'm playing around with in my head. And now, following up on what we talked about in yesterday's video with FSD, Tasha Keeney from ARK Invest coming out, posting, and so it starts. I think the supercharging network is the gateway drug for other Tesla platforms. Licensing Autopilot and FSD next, and here we've got that Lightning charging at a Tesla charger. Now, this is something that many people in the community were talking about for the last year or two, where when you start having other manufacturers charging at Tesla charging stations, they're going to get acclimated to Teslas. And maybe they're going to be like, oh, talk to Tesla drivers. Maybe they start buying a Tesla instead. They start talking to Tesla drivers about FSD. They want FSD. They start going to the manufacturers and say, hey, I like my Ford Lightning, but I wish I had FSD the way Tesla has it. Now, if these manufacturers, and we've talked about it before, are comfortable with using the NACS and going to Tesla for their charging solutions, makes sense that they would also now feel comfortable going to them for FSD. And when it comes to FSD and people licensing it, Ray for Tesla comes out saying that Li Zhang, CEO of Li Auto, thinks Tesla's FSD is a true mass data driven AI computing platform and is in the right direction for full self driving. He commends Tesla's advantages in hardware setup, cost, scalability, AI OS, mass data collection, model training, and algorithm. And Elon responded to this with, did my best to warn people that LiDAR isn't optimal for cars. Roads are designed for biological neural nets and eyes, so digital neural nets and cameras will work best. I say this even though Dragon uses LiDAR for docking with station, so I don't intrinsically hate the technology. So again, so many people were reliant on LiDAR. NIO is still working on LiDAR for their fully autonomous driving solution. So again, the technology is good for specific uses, but not when it comes to a real life driving situation where you need to think like a human, because you're still going to be limited by what the technology is versus allowing it to think for itself in the situation that it's in. This is where Tesla is going with AI. That is true AI. Li Auto is now coming out and complimenting Tesla on just this. So now we know that China is pushing. China may be further ahead than any other legacy automotive maker when it comes to autonomous driving, but they're still using LiDAR, or at least some of them are. So how far behind is everyone else? Now we do have to remember that legacy auto is also in other countries as well, including China. So the question then comes down to is, if someone in China also gets autonomous driving solved, is it going to be comparable to Tesla's? And then if Legacy Auto is going to be licensing from someone else, are they going to be licensing Tesla's, or are they going to be licensing someone else's technology just because they don't want to use Tesla's? But then we take it one step further and think about how many vehicles are on the road? What kind of data is getting collected for this? How are they processing that data? How quickly can they make this transition happen? Tesla has already shown that in order to make this happen, you need a significant amount of data, and you also need massive amounts of compute in order to process all of that data. No one else has this out there right now. By the time they get that figured out and built up, they're going to be years behind Tesla, further than they already are. And speaking of all that data processing, Sawyer Merritt posts out, tomorrow Tesla will turn on a massive and very expensive 10,000 unit NVIDIA H100 GPU cluster to help it train FSD. But that got me wondering, what is the difference between these new H100 GPUs and the older A100 graphics processing units, GPUs, Tesla has been using for the last couple of years? I briefly break it down below. So just to briefly run through it, the NVIDIA A100 has 6912 CUDA cores, 432 tensor cores, and 40 gigs or 80 gigs of high bandwidth memory. The H100 has 18,432 CUDA cores, 640 tensor cores, 80 streaming multiprocessors, and higher energy use than the A100. With the H100, high performance computing is over 5 times faster compared to the A100. These new H100 GPUs will enable Tesla to train FSD faster and better than ever, but NVIDIA can't keep up with the GPU demand. As a result, Tesla is spending $1 billion plus to build its own supercomputer named Dojo. Of course, we knew this. It uses the company's hyper-optimized custom-designed chip, Tesla is much more than just a car company. So again, people are like, oh, Tesla just produces cars. Nah, dude, way more than that. Look at what Tesla is doing behind the scenes with just Dojo alone. Then you think about what it can do with an AWS type system that Amazon has. That could be a whole different revenue stream coming in from that as well. But obviously, first, what we're going to be focusing on with Dojo is training FSD, training that AI. This is just starting to come online. We saw what Elon was able to do on Friday with FSD. Just wait until Dojo gets involved. I've had people asking questions about, well, what about the vehicles that are driving in Europe? What about vehicles that are driving in China? If everything is going to be video taught to this AI, what's going to happen there? Well, this is why Tesla has been out there trying to sell as many vehicles as they possibly can in these areas to collect all of that video data before they turn FSD on. So again, the more vehicles they have on the road, the more video collection they have coming in, the more data they have coming in, the faster they need to process. Hence Dojo. Now they have all of this data coming in from all over the world. Again, it's just like you and I if we went somewhere else. Like if you went to a country you've never been to and you went to drive there for the first time, maybe a little uncertain at first, but over time, you get the experience just from actually driving. There you go. Now you get better at it. Well, they're training FSD in the exact same way, except instead of it being physically on the road driving at that time, it's a human driving. They collect that data from that human driving and then train FSD with that video. So it doesn't matter where in the world you are, as long as you are collecting data from vehicles and showing those videos to FSD and having Dojo process it, it's all that matters. So again, the more vehicles you have on the road, the more data you have, the stronger Dojo gets, the faster it can process all of that, the faster FSD can turn around. That is its own exponential curve of growth when it comes to AI knowledge. So this is a piece that a lot of people may understand, but Wall Street hasn't priced in yet. We're getting there extremely fast. This FSD AI curve is moving up very rapidly. So brace yourselves. It's going to be here before we know it. So I'm very excited about that. Again, we may end up seeing Tesla run some more. Few days left of the month. Let's see how we close the month out. Let's see if we can stay out of this downward channel and maybe start to make some upward progress. Things that are going on in my life, looks like my job is changing as of next week. So lots of stress, lots of different things going on. I will most likely be leaving this job because what they're offering me is not what I want. So it's a kind of a forcing of a stepping down. I still have no reason as to why. They haven't told me any reasons. It is what it is. Again, I've been feeling it's time for me to step away from this job anyway. So what I'm going to be looking for is I've got lots of options. I'm looking at maybe moving, going in with my old roommates, finding another job. Maybe I'll go work for UPS in the morning and then be able to do videos and everything for you guys over the course of the day. I'll be on X, I'll be on here, I'll do live streams. I'll be able to build my business some more. So stay tuned to what's going on. I've got about a month left here, and I've just got decisions I've got to make. So October 1st is really kind of the date that I'm giving myself to finalize what I'm going to be doing with my life going forward. But I will keep you guys posted on that. So any support you guys can give me is huge. Like, comment, share these videos to help build this channel up some more. That's huge support that I can get from you guys. And same thing over on X. Anything you guys can do on X to kind of boost any of that to get me more impressions over there if you like what it is. And again, give me feedback. Tell me how I can improve. This is one thing that I never got from my job was any sort of feedback. So like, how can I possibly improve if I never get feedback? How do I know what I'm doing wrong if you don't tell me? So I'm one who is like, I want to grow. I want to get better. I can't get better unless people tell me how to get better. So long and short of it, things are changing for me, and I think they're changing for the better. And I think I'm going to be able to spend more time with you guys, which is awesome. So we will take this going forward. So again, thank you guys so much for your support. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Have a great one.